Tonight, we're going to have some people that join us late because they are still at the town hall for OEC for the new center rules. The good news is only 300 people could get in there. And so lots and lots of people are going to be looking at the slides. Honestly, that's the way to do that kind of town hall anyway, right? Because you just can read the slides yourself, do it very quickly, and get some of your time back. So they should have those go out pretty quickly. I'm hoping even tomorrow to be good summaries and stuff, but maybe next week early. So we should see those. If you're in a center, they'll do a good summary of everything. And then, yeah, so people will be joining us late because they're there. But today we're talking marketing. And so I want to tell you before I forget, there is a training on ECEA's website. If you go into the news events, there is a marketing seminar that we had this week with someone from Hinge. And so if you look in the news blogs, there's one that just says training webinar, whatever. The link is there so you can download that and watch that. They did a marketing training on how to market for great staff. And there were some really great ideas in there. So it's worth the watch. But today I want to introduce someone who is amazing. Nancy Barnett has been at the SBDC for, I'll let her tell how long.
It gets shorter the longer I'm here. So
yeah. And she's going to talk to you about marketing. So buckle your seatbelts and have fun.
Well, hello, everybody. As Dawn said, my name's Nancy Barnett. I've actually been teaching and consulting for the SBDC for about 10 and a half years now. And so over that period of time, I've talked to a lot of people and learned from them as well. So hopefully I'm going to share some of that information with you guys tonight. Okay, so real quickly, I would like to hear from you. I hear the class is about halfway divided between centers and home care. Is that correct? Does that feel about right between all of you? Give me an idea of how many of you are just beginning this process. You know, you're just starting a child care, or is somebody raise your hands for me? Give me an idea. Who's fairly new to this? Okay, I see Annie over here. She's new. Okay, Krista. Who else is fairly new? Okay, there's Marilyn. Okay, all right. So, and then some of you have child care centers. Is that correct? Can you guys let me know? Kind of give me an idea of who has a child care center? Okay, so I've got Carol. Okay, Kristen. Okay. You guys are moving around because they're coming. Shannon. Okay. So when it comes to, when we say the word marketing, what emotions go through your head? Somebody tell me.
My first thought was money, but I guess emotions, I don't know.
Well, money is emotional.
Is it marketing is more like advertising or selling, right?
Actually, it's more than that. Okay, that's a strategy, but it's not really marketing. Okay, yeah. So that's a way, right? But marketing is probably bigger than that, or it actually is bigger than that. Have any of you put together a marketing plan?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay, Chris is over here. Yes and no. Okay,
just because we live in a small town, so like it's with a small town, everybody knows what everybody's business is.
I've heard that.
So with marketing, I don't think I'm going to have to market much if my product is good as I think it's going to be.
And there's truth to that, in that Chris is talking about a smaller demographic. Okay, he's surrounded by a very defined, market. Those of you who are more in the city, your market is a little bit more diffused. Sometimes it's a little bit more, it's harder to gauge. So some of what I'm going to say is for beginners, some is for a little bit more advanced, so we're just gonna kind of go with it. What I want from you guys is, I want to say silence is not golden. Okay, so there's no reward for that. So the goal here is to get your questions answered. So if you have a question, I can stop and move at any time here on this stuff. So just give us your question. If you want to put it in the chat, I don't pay attention to the chat when but Hannah will let me know, okay, that we've got a question or whatever. But the important thing is you guys don't walk out of here with your questions not answered. Okay, got your agreement on that one? All right, so I'm going to set it up here. And okay, let me, whoops. Okay, I just got fancy and got 3 screens. And I'm like, okay with this. Okay, so
Recording in progress.
hang on. All right, can you guys see the, oh, you can't because I didn't hit that other part. Hang on. Okay, can you see this screen? Okay, let me set this up so I can see you guys too. All right, hang on. All right. Okay, I think I can see most of you. All right, so we're going to talk about how to market smart. And what market smart means is basically having a strategy, not doing what we call a shotgun approach. A shotgun approach means I kind of throw stuff up and I hope something works, but I really can't tell what works. And I'm really not using my money or my time, and time is money. I'm not using it effectively. The first thing I want to talk about is this whole idea of entrepreneurship and a mindset, and how it's different than what most of us have experienced, at least early on. Is most of us started with an employee mindset. This whole idea that I get a job and they give me a job description and I do what it says and I move forward. Those of you who've already started your business, you've already moved from that, okay? But the definition of an entrepreneur is, entrepreneurship is the recognition and pursuit of the opportunity without regard to the resources you currently control, with the confidence that you can succeed, with the flexibility to change course as necessary, and with the will to rebound from setbacks. Do you guys think that describes you? Is that a pretty good description? Have you had times where you looked in the mirror and said, what have I done to myself? And then other times you looked in the mirror and said, man, this is the smartest thing I've ever done in my life. Okay, that's the roller coaster, okay, that we're all subjected to. And it's easy to lose faith. It's easy to feel like you're by yourself. And this is why you guys in these kinds of groups, it's really important that you continue to bond and you continue to share after this class is done, because the people who are in the business you are in know it better than anybody else. And they will understand your feelings when others may not. And so it's really important that you build these kinds of bonds, if you will. Okay. So The biggest killer of the entrepreneurial mindset is not what you would expect. It's not because the economy fails. It's because we doubt who we are. We doubt ourselves. We question our judgment. Okay. Sometimes Sally or Sam's self-doubt lives in our head and tells us that we can't do this, or we shouldn't do this, or this is too hard. And sometimes we need to tell Sally or Sam just to shut up. Okay. Now, so we do have control over. We don't have control over having them in our head because they were born in our head. Okay. What we do have control over is how much real estate we give them. So think about your thoughts. Think about as you go through this class and just go through your business, when you hear Sally or Sam in your head, it's a good opportunity to recognize that and put them in their corner because they're not your friend. Okay. So entrepreneurial mindset, and I'm going to assume all of you have this. You're willing to overcome challenges. You're actually willing to do things other people won't do. It is hard to run your own business. It is easier to get a job. With a job, I know I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Okay, or at least I do until they lay me off. Okay, but I get a job every 2 weeks. I know the perimeters of that job. I can stay in my box. It can feel safe. So you guys already need to give yourself a pat on the back because you guys are doing what not a whole lot of people do when you look at the general population. You have to be decisive. Sometimes we think we have to collect all of this information before we can make a decision, and we never make the decision. Or we make the decision so slow, it didn't help us. So you have to start learning in yourself to trust. This is sometimes hard, to trust your intuition, because that intuition is knowledge you have. It's just been internalized. Okay. It's also good to have people you can throw this up against. And that's part of the role of the SBDC. That's what we do as consultants, in that we're a neutral party. And so, because we don't have any skin in the game, it's easy for us to be that sounding board from that standpoint. So that's one of the roles, I guess I would say, of a consultant at the SBDC, is to be that sounding board and to hopefully oftentimes be that voice of clarity. Okay, because again, we don't have that skin in the game. It's also important as a business owner, we accept the consequences, we accept the outcomes. They are ours. We made the choice, and accept that and be okay with that. And then the other piece is to always, continuous improvement is required. Continuous learning is going to be required. And it's not just continuous learning about childcare and all the rules. I mean, Dawn has overwhelmed me with all of the rules and all of the things that you guys have to deal with, okay? But it's not just about that. It's how do I be an effective business owner, which is different than just managing all of the rules. How do I continue to find ways to make my business financially viable? Am I clear about what financially viable means? Financially viable just doesn't mean I'm not in the red. Financially viable means that what you're doing is taking you not only to your business's financial goals, but to your own personal financial goals. And those have to be tied together. Okay, they can't be different. And to sometimes just to continue to have action, to move, okay, and to start trusting your instincts, start trusting that you do have good ideas, that where you're going, and if you don't, who do I call, who do I check with, where are my trusted spaces? to go for more information or help. So let's talk about the whole purpose of a marketing plan is to get your client to choose you. Because people have choices, do they not? So you have to give them a reason to choose you. And that's an important thing to remember in all of your marketing materials, in the people, in the groups that you target and how you speak to them. All of that goes to, you've got to give them a reason to choose you over the competition. And it cannot or should not be price, because price is the lowest common denominator. Okay, it's about value. How do you show them what value you have and get them to choose you? So part of this starts with, I can't buy from you if I don't know you exist. Okay, so this is not a place where we wait to be rewarded. We wait to be noticed. This is a place where we have to get out there and say, and be where we can be seen. How many of you, when I say the word sales, how do you feel about that word? Yes, no, positive? Tell me, somebody tell me. I got Carol shaking her head. Okay, over here. How do you feel about this whole idea that you are in sales?
I was told one time that no matter what, we're all in sales,
And
whether I'm
this-
trying to woo my wife or whether I'm trying to sell my kids to put on the shoes correctly.
You are absolutely correct. Okay,
I
we're
don't
all,
always like it.
it's true. We're all in sales. We've all, sold an idea. We've sold, man, if you haven't tried to sell teenagers, you talk about a tough audience. Okay, so we're in sales, but we don't see it as sales. Sometimes we think we're giving good advice. That's not sales, right? We couch it in different things. Being in sales is okay. It's a good thing. It's also important for you guys to start thinking about how you get sold to and what makes you buy things and what makes you trust things. I tend not to like to watch advertisements. Okay, that's why I have everything recorded so I can skip through it and I can mess with and miss that whole stuff. But I do occasionally watch them, and I watch them because I like to hear how they're speaking and how they're speaking to their audience to get them to ultimately choose them, buy from their company, buy their product, or buy their service. You can learn from others when you start paying attention. Those guys on TV that do advertising on TV, they spend a lot of money in those advertisements. They have big marketing teams that come in and strategists and come in and put those things together. So those are usually put together by some of the best people around, at least in that type of business. And so but you will almost always see there's an emotional piece to what they're selling. Okay, because we buy, oftentimes, we don't like to admit it, but we justify it with fact, but we buy from emotion. Okay, so that's going to play a role in this as well. So you have to give me a reason, okay, to choose you above everybody else. And that reason needs to be very clear. It can't be subtle where they have to figure it out. They have to feel it. They have to see it. They have to read it. And all of those things need to be congruent. All of your messages need to be congruent and the same. So there's three parts of marketing. There's the plan, there's the strategy, and there's the tactics. So somebody tell me where social media fits in those three. Just
I would
shout it
say
out.
tactics.
As tactics, absolutely right, Kristen. However, you'll see it's number 3. How many people do you think start with tactics before doing the other ones? Do you think
Most
that happens?
people,
Say it again.
many people, if
Many
not
people do.
most.
That's right. They say, well, I have to be on Facebook and I have to be on Instagram and I have to be on, whatever. And the answer is no, you don't if your people aren't there. That's a wasted effort. So you want to do the first 2 and then figure out what matches. Okay. So if you think about what we call this customer segment marketing. Some of you may remember the long-running show Mad Men, okay, and it was about all the advertising execs in the 50s and 60s and so forth. In the 50s and 60s, the advertisers told you what you should do. If you look at the Marlboro Man, okay, he looked really cool. He was a good-looking cowboy. All of those guys actually died of lung cancer, but that's beside the point. But the basic message was, if I have a Marlboro versus whatever my choice would be, I am cool. How many beer commercials were set up that way? Okay, I am cool, right? In today's marketing, it has flipped. It has flipped, and it has flipped to the customer. It's flipped to this idea that I have to know who my customer is, and I have to understand them first, and then I give them what they want or what means something to them. So it actually starts with, you see marketing strategy there. That's the plan to attract your ideal customer. And ideal, the word ideal is really important here because everybody is not your customer. Every parent is not your customer. Okay, so it's the ideal customer. Your brand strategy is, and people say, well, what's my brand, or do I have to have a brand? What does it mean? Okay, it is the value promise. It's the promise that you make to your customers. So if you think about famous brands out there, they have been able to stand for things. So when you see Apple stands for things, right? They stood for innovation, being first on the, their competition was Microsoft, but it was basically, we're first, we're more innovative, we're more creative, right? That was their brand. And that was important to the people that they were targeting, because originally Apple was targeting, Microsoft targeted the schools, okay? Apple targeted all the creatives. Okay, that was their initial market. Of course, it's all expanded from that point, but that was their initial market. Your digital strategy is how you are going to communicate that promise online. You can also have another kind of strategy, a marketing strategy of how are you going to communicate to the people in your geographical service, whatever, okay, to get people to know you exist and choose you, okay, because they have seen something that makes them trust you, right? And then your strategic service design is how you deliver that promise every time, because you cannot overpromise and underdeliver. You cannot. In today's world, how much does it take? How easy is it to get a bad review and have it everywhere? right? So you have to make sure you're doing the best you can to match whatever you have said you are going to deliver. And keep reminding your clients what you are delivering to them. So, effective marketing is not an option. It's something that just has to become an integral part of everything that you do. So the marketing plan comes before the strategy. So in the marketing plan, who are your customers and potential customers? They're your target market. Okay, so can somebody, how many of you have ever heard of something called a customer avatar? Anybody? A customer avatar is actually a story. What you do is you determine, we'll talk about this in a minute, you determine who your target market is, and then you give them a name. You give them 2 kids. You give them the fact that both parents are working. You describe their story, which basically helps you market to them, because now your marketing target has become human. And it is easier to talk to a human than a paragraph you've written that describes your target market. Does that make sense? Okay. And you can have more than one customer avatar. You can have different types of clients, but it can be really useful in giving Sally a name, giving her, what are her stressors? What are her worries? What are her concerns? What's most important to her with her children? Okay, is it education? Is it, what is it that they're in a safe space? What, and those are all concerns, but which ones rank 1, 2, and 3? Because those are the things, the language you use to speak to your target market. Okay, so when they say unique selling point, USP, you guys can look that up, but what that is basically what people will remember. It can be a tagline. It can be a certain message that is in all of your marketing. We do X, right? We do Y, okay? To give you an idea, one of the, I own 2 companies. I have a business partner, the same business partner in both. One of them, the first one that we did and still do, is we own an accounting company. Okay, that accounting company, when we named it 12 years ago, we ended up calling it APIS Business Solutions. That doesn't say a doggone thing about accounting. APIS is Latin for honeybee. And our purpose was, we wanted to be friendly accounting people, because oftentimes when people have to go see their accountant, it's a fearful situation. They're when everybody has to reveal their financials, it's kind of like the emperor with no clothes. And people get really uncomfortable in those situations. And they often feel that a professional or an accountant is going, and I'm not the accountant's going to say, what were you thinking? How could you have done that? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we wanted to avoid that. So our logo is a bee, a friendly bee that has no stinger, because our tagline is, we take the sting out of accounting and bookkeeping. And then we just had hay with that one. I mean, my business partner had longer hair at the time. Her hair was done in a beehive, and we would go to the trade shows, and her hair was done in a beehive, and we gave out honey sticks, and we just had a good time. Okay, because we were approachable. And that's the message we wanted to get across. We are approachable. Okay, so think about what you want people to most think about your business. And that's the image of your brand and what you want to display. It's the first thing they're going to see. Okay, Nike has the swoosh. I have no idea what the swoosh means to them, but I know it's Nike, right? Now, you're not going to be Nike, and that's okay, but it needs to be consistent. So when we talk about marketing, you'll notice that the people who do it really well use the same colors in their marketing. They use the same font in their marketing. And I know those seem like some subtle things, but our brain processes consistency and it comes across as professional. So it makes no difference whether you're doing this business from home or you have a childcare center, a larger center. The consistency, doing it the same way, being recognized as the same thing is really important. People pick up on that even when they're not aware that they pick up on it, okay? Once you have these three things, you can choose your marketing methods of how you're going to do this, okay? So I want to talk a little bit about why we buy things,
Can you
okay?
say the three things again?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear, Chris.
Can you say the three things again?
I want to talk a little bit about why we buy things, why we choose.
The one right before that you said, when you have these three things.
Oh, I'm
What
sorry.
you want the
Okay,
people to
I got
remember
you.
is the
I got you.
avatar.
Okay, so when we talk about those three factors, it's your marketing plan, marketing strategy, and your marketing tactics. Okay, so those are the three things. So it's important to understand why we buy things. We buy things usually because we have a pain, or we have a pain we want relieved, or we have a gain we want to achieve. Sometimes it can be both, okay? So you need to understand your client. So think about your clients, think about the parents. What are they most concerned about? What have you heard? What do they seem to care about most?
Safety.
Safety. What else?
Quality care.
Quality care. And we have to define quality, right? What that means.
Development. Like
Okay.
educational, academical style.
Yep. What else do they care about?
Health.
Health. Do they care about cleanliness?
Yeah.
Right? So when you think about it, those are the key things. So years ago, I was the director of training for AAA before I jumped off the cliff. Okay. And AAA had been around since 1902. And their the three things they centered every business line and everything they ever did, whether it's road service or selling you a car or booking a trip or selling you insurance, okay? Those three words were safety, security, and peace of mind. Every product they offered had to do those three things. If you understand what your three things or two things are, guess how much easier your marketing message gets? Because everything goes back to that. Whatever those, they had three. I think three is a good number. Okay, pick three, right? And if we think pains, I want a pain relieved. Okay, I have to find a safe space for my child. I want a safe space where my child can learn, right? I want it clean. I want to know what is happening in that time I'm away from my child, right? How many parents feel guilty about leaving their child?
Most.
Yes, absolutely right now. So how do you relieve that fear, right? How do you address that? You know, I always, think about what you do that can help them do that. And if you have relieved my biggest concerns, I automatically find myself liking you. I automatically find myself trusting you. And the gain I get from that kind of choice is I can go to work and I can do a good job because I'm not worried about how my child's being taken care of. Those things have value to people. So you really want to think about who your client is, what are their fears, and then how is what you offer going to solve or either solve their pain, minimize their pain, or relieve or give them a gain. And all of your marketing needs to address those things. Everything else doesn't count. It's extra. It's extra. So we're going to talk a little bit about how they do that. So this is stuff we use in business planning or whatever, but it's all about the match. So what do my parents, these are the jobs. What do my parents want to get done, right? What do they need to get done? What are their fears or their pains? What could give them a gain? What would make them feel like they're winning, getting a gain? And then you look at your business and you say, how can I be a gain creator or a pain reliever? How are my words telling them that? Questions about that? Thoughts? Does it make sense? Okay, it's all about the language. So this is the example. So how many of you remember these guys? Yep, okay. So this is all Allstate, right? You're in good hands with Allstate man. So he always appeared with that mellow voice, with that soft, great voice, okay? And he basically said, trust us. We'll take on your pain. We'll take on your fear and make everything good, right? Then they came out with a man, and he was the pain. And he was the guy that you'd see and you go, oh my God, he's just creating mayhem. He's the pain guy. And Allstate would come to the what? You had Allstate. You didn't have to worry about the mayhem guy. So do you see how one company, these were their best-selling campaigns ever. And in Allstate, and in fact, they were the best-selling campaigns in insurance for years. And it's because they clearly addressed both pain and gain. It was a real visual thing, and people reacted to it. So, going back to what we just mentioned a little earlier, what do your customers care about, and what do they care about most? So some of you said safety, cleanliness, education, you listed them, right? Then you have to start thinking in what order? What's most primary? So you make the list and then you're going to start changing it. So let's look at these for a second. So again, these are old school handouts, but they do work in neighborhoods and things like that if you're in neighborhood childcare, right? But I want you to tell me what you think about this particular flyer. What are you learning from this flyer?
They're going to teach your
read.
child.
Say it again, Krista.
They're going to teach your child.
They're going to teach, they're telling you that, they're telling you they're a learning academy, right? They're telling you their hours of operation. They're telling you who they serve. They tell you they're accepting whatever purchase of care is. Okay. So they're telling you information. What else are they telling you anything else other than information?
It's an ugly flag, to be honest.
Yeah. So let's look at this one. Let's look at the next one. What do you see here?
A lot of information.
A lot of information, but what kind of information?
We'll see.
What
It'll
they're going to
answer-
teach.
Yeah,
What
like
they're going to
questions you
teach,
might have.
right? And there are pictures of what?
Happy children.
Happy children. Okay. Look at the vibrant colors. Those are happy colors. Are they not? And they're big. So look at the things that come in the biggest print. Curiosity starts here. How many people want their children to be curious? Want their children to want to learn? Want their children to grow up to be inquisitive and searching?
Everyone.
So between the two, which one would you choose?
The second.
The second. But it's important for you guys to see the brightness, the colors. They are very clear about the subjects they teach, right? Those are easy to read. And it's not about them, it's about the children. And that's the message they get across. So think about that when you're thinking about your marketing material, whether they're digital, whether they're paper, however you're going to end up getting on your website. Okay, all of that. So I want to give you guys some ideas about where to find great marketing information. All right. So the first one is the Denver Public Library. Okay, now the Denver Public Library spends, and it doesn't make any difference where you live. If you are a resident of the state of Colorado, you're in. And I'm assuming everybody I'm talking to right now is a resident of the state of Colorado. All right. So the Denver Library downtown in Denver on 14th Street is the biggest library in the state. For years before COVID, they, well, let me tell you this first. The whole system, but again, Denver's the biggest and has the most. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars on marketing research that nobody knows they have, that is totally available to you guys for free with your free library card. It's a really good deal, okay? But what makes it even better is the one downtown, their third floor, like I said, for years before COVID, has business library. Their third floor is dedicated to business, and they have business librarians. These are the most wonderful, nerdy people you will ever meet in your entire life, okay? One time I learned more about white bread than I ever wanted to know in my entire life, okay? So you can, and Hannah will share this information with you. You can, there's a link there where you're going to be able to set up an appointment with a business librarian. You're going to tell them there'll be a checkbox where you can check and say, you know, you're a client of the SBDC. And then you're going to say, I have a child care center. It is X address. I have a home care center. It's X address. And I want to know more about the demographics in my area. Okay. They will then connect with you and they will make an appointment with you to meet them on Zoom, just like we are. And they will be able to share their screens with you. They are going to do a little bit of research before they meet with you. And then they are going to show you how to use all of the marketing databases. And you can play with those to your absolute heart's content for free with your library card at home on your computer. So you're going to be able to, number one, see all the demographics around your area. They have a database that will allow you to target, let's just say, put the address of your business. And you can say 3 to 5, you can do whatever you want, but you can say 3 to 5 miles around it, right? And then you can say, I'm looking for people looking for childcare, blah, 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 blah. And up will come names and addresses of everybody who searched for that in that area. What do you now have?
Some really valuable information.
Yes, you do. You have a marketing list.
Client list, yeah.
Yes, and you can go to Vistaprint and get a colorful card made up, right? And then you can send it only to those households. Not every household in the area, just those. And you can offer some kind of discount for the first week, or, you know, whatever it is that you choose to do for your marketing. But it's only being sent to the ones who are looking for that information. You can also find all of your competition. Why is that important? Somebody tell me why it's important to know your competition.
To know what you're up against, to know what else is out there.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so what are they doing? What are they saying? What are their, you know? And it gives you an opportunity to even look outside your area of people who are running childcare, and you look at their websites. And if they're doing something really, really cool, this stuff isn't copyrighted, folks. Okay, guess what you can do? I don't say do it word by word, but I'm saying, can you capture the idea?
Yes.
Right? Is it easy to get around their website? Is it easy for them to sign up to come in for a visit? What are they doing that you could do as well?
You could see what's missing so you know what to make sure you include.
Oh my gosh, yes. Sometimes that's the best lesson ever. You look at it and go, wow, that I'm not going to do that one, right? Mark that one off my list. So it's a great way to learn from that standpoint. If you are, wherever you are located, is close to businesses, what do you need to know there? Anybody think about the businesses that are around them? Businesses have employees, do they not?
I was gonna say who works there, what their needs
That's
are.
right. Well, you don't find out who works there, but you're on the way to that business maybe, right? They're coming from someplace else and they want a childcare near their business, because if anything happens, they want to be able to what?
Be close.
Be
Get there
close.
quick.
That's right. So then you look at the businesses and you can pull up information on those businesses, and then you can go visit their HR department and let them know that you are close by, because HR wants their people to show up for work, wants their people to have safe places for their people to have their children. Is that not true?
Yes.
And so
That would
then-
help you plan your hours too. So if they want their employees there on time, then you better be open before they are, so they have time to drop their
Yeah.
child off and get there for the start of the day.
Yeah, and that's great information for you to know, right, Kristen? It helps you understand that. So this is what we talk about when we say know your market, okay, and know what's available, and get creative. If you're in an area that has like, for some of you, hair salons, let's just take hair salons for an example. Hair salons, nail salons, that kind of thing. Most of those are places that more women go to than men. Is that correct? So you can go, I have childcare clients who go to those establishments and they say, I have some flyers or some cards here. I do childcare in the area. Would you mind having this on your tables or whatever? And most of them say, great, no problem. And so you've got a mom come down, sit to get her hair done, and she's not happy with her child, or she just moved childcare, or she just moved to the area, or whatever the situation is. And she picks that up and says, wow, they're really close by. So that's what I mean by being where your market is. And think about that. So there's another thing, and Dawn, you guys will distribute this to them, right? Or have you already, the IBIS reports? Okay, have they seen them?
They're in the Google Classroom.
Okay,
Right.
in
Under
the Google
resources, if anyone's
Classroom.
looking for those.
So let's talk about these. These IBIS reports that we pulled for you guys and put into the Google Classroom. These are research reports. IBIS is a huge company. Well, actually, they're worldwide. And what they do is they collect industry data. And they put that industry data into these 35 to 50 page reports. Banks believe what they say. It's believable stuff. So they say, they look at childcare and they say, this is what the industry did the last 5 years. They're talking about the United States at this point. Last 5 years, this is what we think it's going to do in the next 5 years. This is what people are looking for. This is what they're spending their money on. This is what they care about. They do a SWOT analysis, okay, which basically says, here's the strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal. Opportunities and threats are external. And different ways to overcome those. These are amazing reports. These reports, these three right here, cost anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 a piece. And they are now available to you for how much money? Let me think. $0. Okay, so read them. You're going to find snippets of information that can help you. If any of you ever decide, those of you who have centers in particular, if you ever decide you are going to you need a business loan to grow your business, build something, whatever, it's not coming from all the resources that Dawn talks about. Okay. This is the kind of information that would have to go in the business plan that you would write, because the banks believe them. All right, great information. And then there's also the Colorado Resource Book. The Colorado Resource Book is a 75-page PDF written by the state of Colorado. So I am going to assume it is correct, okay? It is about everything you guys need to know about startup, about employees, about employees versus independent contractors, about insurance, about all those things that business owners care about. Every phone number, every website, There are free books that you can get a link to that will answer certain in particular kinds of questions. And that's all in that PDF. Because you're not just running a childcare, you are in business according to the state of Colorado and according to the United States government. And you guys need to make sure you're in alignment. What I call that book is the book that helps you sleep at night. Okay, so if you are doing everything that's in that book, you get to sleep. If you're not doing the things in that book, you might not sleep because you might expect someone coming to your door that you didn't really want to see. Okay, so that's my advice with that. All right. If you guys have any particular questions about that or things that concern you, you can always come see us at the SBDC and Consulting, and we'll talk about your particular situation. So you're going to have to create your marketing materials, and you get to choose what they are. Does everybody here need a website? What do you think? Tell me.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. You're right. It doesn't have to be fancy. Okay. It doesn't have to be a $5,000 website. Okay. Your websites, for the most of you, especially those of you who are smaller, is an informational website. When people hear about you, if they see a flyer, where are they going to go next? You're going to go to that website to prove that you're really real, which shows them nothing in reality, but we believe it. Okay, it is like a business card, if nothing else. Okay, they get a flavor of who you are. So it's not a maybe, it's a necessity. There are people at the SBDC consultants who can look over your website. Those are our marketing people. They can look over your website and give you some pointers about some things that you might do. We have marketing consultants. All they live and breathe marketing. And you can meet with them for Dawn. How much does it cost for them to meet with those people?
They are so expensive.
I know, and we're raising our prices. Okay, we're going to start charging 10% more than we've been charging. Okay, it's zero. Okay, so you can take advantage of that. And that goes to all pieces of the marketing. They can help you design a marketing strategy that is specific to you and specific to what you are providing. Okay. Promotions, get people's attention, right? Flyers still work, especially for the smaller neighborhood childcare. There cannot be a center that does not have a professional brochure. If you're a center, you need a professional brochure. I want you guys to think about the package that people are going to take with them after they come to see your space. You've taken them on a tour. You've shown them. Do not let them leave empty-handed. They need to leave with a packet. And you need to remember that every piece of paper in that packet represents you and represents your business. So make sure it's professional. Make sure there aren't typos. Make sure, and like I say, run them by the marketing guys at the SBDC. Okay, they can help you.
I have to say, typos, misspelled words on flyers for childcare programs make me crazy. Because you're telling people, I'm going to educate your children, right?
Right. And then here's the other thing. What happens for some people, I'm going to think Dawn is one of them just by her response there, is now she's only focused on the misspelled word. She's not focused on the message anymore.
you're not
That's our
teaching my
loss.
kid how to misspell words like that. Not that you're
So-
doing that, but you know.
Yeah. So if any of you are worried about, well, you know, my spelling's not always best, or I worry about that, just, you can get on your computer, you can get Grammarly.com, go to Grammarly.com, and you can get a free version. Okay, and it will check all that stuff for you. It will even check your grammar. If you want to pay a few bucks a month, it will even give you, it will change your sentences around and help you say it better. Okay, so if you're worried about that kind of thing, if you have a lack of confidence, I use Grammarly. To tell you how much I use Grammarly, they gave me my report for the last 3 years, I think, or 4 years, 3 or 4 years I've used Grammarly. I want you to know I've done 2,700,000 words. Okay, that scared me right there. Okay, but the point is it tells you how, you know, it keeps track of this stuff for you. So use those tools that are available to you that build your confidence in what you're producing. And I was an English major and I use Grammarly, so just, I wouldn't be without it. Any questions about that piece? Okay, so make sure those packets, spend the money to have it in a nice folder, you know, and have it look good. Okay. What kind of referral programs? Is there a, you know, if I refer another parent to you, is there something in it for me? You know, because that's going to make you at top of mind. Why do you think plumbers give us those things, and electric guys, when they come to our house, they give us those things to put on a refrigerator? Because I'm not going to be looking through my phone to figure out what was the name of the plumber when water is coming out of my sink.
That's right.
Okay, I am going to go look at the site, and that's the guy. And I'm going to call him. And they know that. So oftentimes when you're willing to do something for the person who remembers, they put you top of mind. They have to like what you're doing, their kids there, right? But top of mind. Okay. Open house, grand opening. That's another way. Some preschools do like enrollment times where they do it once a quarter or wherever it is to get people to be made aware again. Okay, or the new people who've moved into the neighborhood, that kind of thing. Possibly on, how many of you have heard of Nextdoor? You can put an advertisement on Nextdoor that you're now doing, and that costs you how much? Anybody who's used Nextdoor, how much does that cost? Nothing. Okay, so again, things to do, and then, you know, having a social media campaign. How many moms groups are out there? More than one?
Many, many, many.
Many, 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 many. Okay, so you have an opportunity to let them know you exist there. Some of them, and I know COVID changed this a little bit, but they're now doing it virtual, or they're starting to come back, is oftentimes a lot of these groups get together because it's a social thing. They get together and they have a speaker, or they would love to have a speaker. You could be a say, I'd love to come and talk to you about how to choose a childcare. How do I choose it? Right? What questions should I ask? More importantly, what kind of answers should they get? How valuable would that information be? And who's given it? You. So you're up there being perceived, even if you're doing it on Zoom, you're being perceived as the expert. Anybody in this room not want to be perceived as an expert in childcare? You have the ability to do that. So when you think about touch points are how many times a person hears about you, sees you, interacts with your business in some way, shape, or form. Okay. Most people need more than one touch point to choose you. If you look at social media, and it's amazing to me how I don't know, I start looking, I decide I need a new mattress and I start looking for a mattress. And then all over my Facebook is what?
Mattress ad.
Oh my gosh, everywhere. Okay. Kind of thing. And and I'll see it more than once. Will you not? How many of you seen these things like more than once? You don't just see it one time. Those of you who are on email lists, those of you who bought clothing online. Oh my gosh, how much now you get an email about the latest new shirts or the latest new whatever kind of thing. Those are touch points. And one of the days they're going to hit you and it's exactly what you need at the time. And you buy it because they touched you at the right moment. So it's really starting to think about how you're going, the piece of this, and you guys get this presentation, but the piece of this is how many places are you going to touch your client in some way, shape, or form?
You and your staff, right?
That's a great point, Dawn.
Because if they answer the phone, they need to know the protocols and the messaging to answer the phone in a very consistent way, right? Or they don't touch the phone.
What kind of training program do you have for the people who work for you? Is it the same or is it hit and miss? Is it something that everybody goes through? Like Dawn was saying, answering the phone is in any way I want to is not an option. There's a script that occurs. So then you can count on that happening every time. So how much time are you investing in the training of your employees? If you have employees that feel like they know what they're supposed to do, how much more likely are they to stay? How much more likely are they to do the job correctly? Because they know that they know what it is. It's not nebulous.
Right.
It's very clear. It's very clear. Those of you, who have internal procedures that employees handle, are those laid out? Do you do the same thing? Right? Is it handled every how you take a transaction, what identification you look for, what are the safety procedures or security procedures? Are they all the same?
What do you expect from that teacher when you walk into the room with the tour, right? Because that teacher can't read your mind or know what you expect from them unless you really teach them and train them on that. Help them to be successful.
They're part of the reason. They're an integral part of the success of this business.
Yep.
Okay. No one likes to be where they don't feel like they're valued, right? None of us, I don't think, or like most of us. They probably have.
And you're going to have sustainability funds at the end of December or beginning of January, right? And some of those funds could be used for incentive programs for your staff to help you get to a place where you're able to max out again, right, with kids. And so we'll talk more about that in a bit. But
yes, but this is really important stuff for you guys to think about, okay? Because actions and words have impact, both with your customer and with your employees. Just like we talk about marketing to our customers, you guys are also marketing to employees in this environment.
Mm-hmm.
And you need
almost more so, right? It's almost
more so right
important
now,
to market
yes,
for your staff
absolutely.
right now Because you
Absolutely.
can't get to capacity. You can't bring those families in unless you have teachers present in your facility.
So they have to be believers just like you. They have to believe in the program. They have to know the program. They have to be able to have opportunity in a safe environment to suggest improvements to the program.
You've been dying to get them in the door because you've been working so hard for so long, and that the moment they get there, you're like, here, go into the classroom and start working, right? And then they're walking out at lunch and not coming back. So you
Remember
need
when
to
I said what I
invest.
did for a living, right? I spent 14 years as the director of training for AAA. A large percentage of my job was to create an environment that employees wanted to stay in. Because if they stayed, our costs went down, because every time you have to go through a hiring process and a training process, it costs you money. And that money may not show up at the bottom line, but I guarantee you it's in the bottom line. And
It's on your workload, right? Is what you have to do as a director then, and the extra pressure that you have to endure, and the going into the classrooms and knowing that pre-COVID, 2.5 months to hire someone. Pre-COVID. I don't even want to know that data right now.
no, because you guys will all crumble in
Yeah.
fear and it'll
Yeah.
be bad. Okay, so you can create on social media. How hard is it to create a YouTube video in today's world?
Easy.
It's easy, okay? How hard is it to create a stellar social media? That's different, okay? So we need to think about what goes into that. So let's talk about, how do I shoot a video? So your smartphone can do it. It's pretty cool. Especially the new ones are just pretty amazing, actually. So you want to keep your videos short, because what's the attention span of our current population? It's about like a fly. Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty much it. Okay, and that's all of us, and our heads are going like, all the time, right? So 90 seconds or less. You just want to move slowly to show them a room or whatever it happens to be. They need to be fun. They need to be engaging. They need to be happy and lighthearted. It's because you guys are in the relationship business. You are in the relationship business with the children, and you're in a relationship business with the parents. And people want their children in a place that is not only safe, but is happy. And so how do you show that in a video? If you have some raving fans, if you have parents who love you, ask them for a video testimonial. They can do it on their own phone and send it to you. Why do they love you? Oh, I just love having my child. Oh, he's been so much happier. Oh my gosh, he's like, I just love it. I can go to work and I just don't worry about a thing. I would never change. They are your top salespeople. But you have to ask them. They're not going to volunteer it. And they'll do it because they want to do what? They want to help who? You. No one better than happy parents. Okay. Happy parents attract other happy parents, is how this works. So you can, now again, as Dawn says, you have to get permission for this. Okay. So you got to make sure that people have signed things that their child can be photographed. Okay. So there's that. But activities going on in the classroom, you talking about what's happening in the school. How many of you are not comfortable being on video? Oh, put me in that category. Okay. I mean, you know, as soon as they get the fade out thing that makes me look 20 years younger and 40 pounds lighter, I'm in. Okay. But they haven't got there yet. Okay. So the key is, but look at all the people online making money. They're not beautiful. They're not, they speak with us and does and too many whatever, but they're authentic. People are looking for authentic. There was a time where we paid a lot of money for professional videos. We still pay for money, professional videos on occasion, okay? But you couldn't do, I mean, a 3-minute or a 2-minute video would cost you $2 grand, $3,000 for 2 minutes at one time, not that many years ago, okay? Now with YouTube and everything else, okay, that's gone by the board. And we just love people who are authentic. Because it's like talking to my mom, it's like talking to a friend. It feels trusted. So authenticity is much more important than perfect. And I don't even know who made up the word perfect, because it's a really dumb word, because there's no such thing as perfect. And when people come across as too perfect, how do we feel about that? How do you guys feel about the ad that shows the guy laying on the Corvette in front of his mansion? And he says, just follow my 3 big tips and you can do this too. Do you really believe that? Right? Because it's not authentic. So be authentic. Have a teacher explain what's going to happen next week. Right? Give a parenting tip. Make it, you know, whatever it is. Answer questions. You know, there's a list that people come up and they ask all the time. You guys can do a video answering those questions, and that gets sent to your new client in an email. These are the questions that come out, you know, most. We just like to explain those to you. Boom, there you go. Okay, introducing a new person we're so glad to have. She's awesome, she's wonderful, or whatever it is, kind of thing. And again, I talked about the testimonials. You can do a video of just the classroom itself or the playground or whatever you have. And again, it doesn't have to be what? Perfect. But
Perfect.
yeah, imperfect is authentic, because we're all imperfect. So if you're afraid of being on camera, you can do slides. So I teach, and a lot of times people just see the slides and they don't hear me. They hear me, but they don't see me. Okay, so you can do
slides of work, right? The art that the children do, right? Or things that happen because of theme days. Like, you see all kinds of amazing things in your programs. Use those amazing things to communicate how amazing you are.
And this is why you guys look at other people's websites. They don't even have to be here in Denver. They can be where? Anywhere. And you find one that says, that is who I want to be when I grow up. Okay, that's what I want to do. And incorporate some of their ideas into what you do. Think about every week if you just had a page where you just posted the kids' pictures that they created that week. That's this week's pictures, right? So what I'm going to say to you sounds really odd, but steal from the best, okay, in a nice way. In a nice way. Look at how they present, like for instance, the nutrition program. How do they present the rules? What do they do? They do it because it works. Okay, so you don't have to think of everything by yourself. So here's one. What did you think of that?
I like how they put the keywords in a different color. So if you didn't get to read the whole thing, you caught the highlights.
I think that's a great idea, Kristen. Anybody else? Sometimes they just had the pictures. You didn't see the kids' faces. You just saw what? Saw them jumping up and down, right? And for some of us who are older, have grandkids, you could use your grandkids in this instead, pretend. Okay, because you just gave permission. All right. So I'm just saying there's out your neighbor's kids, they give permission. Okay, whatever that works. But again, simple, clear messaging. Okay, and to the point. So here's some tips on camera tips. Again, perfection not required. You need to write out your script, okay? There's something called teleprompter for video, okay? That is a useful little tool, if you will. And again, your phone can replace your microphone. Those of you who are doing anything that's in PowerPoint, you can actually now record it as well. They now have their own recording, so you can do that. You want to use the highest resolution you can. Don't look intimidating, look friendly, open arms, not crossed arms, those kinds of things. And just be happy, people. Just smile. Smiles win. They really do. Slow down when you talk. You know, for some of us, I always have to remember to slow down. Practice, and watch other footage. Watch other ones and say, I really like that. I could do something similar to that. Okay. So there's information here about where you can edit your video with, these are some programs you can use, and most of them have a free version. What you always want to have at the end is what we call a call to action. A call to action says, I want your business. Sign up now. Okay, sometimes people do it with maybe a discount of some type that has a deadline. It's not forever. They have to take advantage of it by X. Okay, those kinds of things. So your marketing's done. So the next piece is, how do you keep them? And that's going to be up to you. So thoughts and concerns. Because I'm going to give a test in a minute, and I want to make sure you guys know everything. I'm just
Can you stop screen share so we can see everyone?
Yes.
Thank you.
I can do that. Hang on just a sec.
I like to stare them down.
Yeah, stare them down when they do it. Hannah's using
They're
it back
so
on.
afraid of me. Yeah.
Well, how can anybody be afraid of Dawn, for goodness sake? Any thoughts, concerns?
Oh, you did such a great job. There's
Yeah,
not a
I
single
don't know
question.
about that. They're just stunned into silence.
I
think
told
is
him
what-
how great you were. See?
Stunned into silence they were. So again, Hannah will make sure you get this presentation. Okay, it has the resources in it. You guys know how many of you are excited about the library? It's an amazing resource. It's just absolutely, you're just gonna go, what? If it makes you feel any better, when we first started our business, we actually won some money for our business. And so we spent $1,000 on a marketing list that I am sure that whoever gave it to us got it from the library. And I've never got over that. I'm still upset. Okay, so that was $1,000 I didn't have to spend, that I spent because I didn't know. Okay, so come see us from a consulting standpoint. You've got Dawn. I'll help you guys in any way I can. We have marketing people. We have people that can help you set up your accounting and do your accounting. Okay, so
Books people. We have QuickBooks people, which is one
that
of the
we
best
do.
things you can have.
do. Okay, and so they can help you set up your books. They can look at what you've been doing to make sure you haven't fallen off a cliff somewhere, right? And so that's what we call sleep at night stuff again, right? So again, anything we can do to help you, just let us know. I'm out of here. Okay, you guys have a rest of a good evening. Okay.
Thank you,
All
Nancy.
right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Nancy. Good to see
You're
you.
welcome. Come see us. All right.
I will tell you guys, Nancy is a great sounding board too. If you're just processing some things about business, like I said at the beginning, consulting doesn't have to be about having someone else giving you answers, right? It just gives you a place to go and have a discussion and have someone ask you a few questions and stuff that make you think about, what direction do I want to go on this? And what do I love about that? And if there's something you love, then we have resources and stuff to add to that to support you in the path that you're choosing to take, right? So again, whether that's this week or that's 6 months down the line or 3 years down the line, this is a resource that is for your tool chest. It's for you to be able to use and pull out anytime that you need to. So keep that in mind, which is wonderful. All right, guys, I just really want to emphasize that point right now about you have two kinds of marketing you have to do at this point. You have to market for customers, certainly, but really, 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 you have to think about hiring staff from a marketing perspective. You are competing with you are competing with one another on that one, right? Because people will drive to the place that's going to give them the best benefits, or they will, right? Or they'll go to the place where the culture fits them the best. So you have to market to your staff and make sure that they understand, and people who are potentially going to be your staff, you have to make sure that they really, really get a good sense of who you are and what is important to you in your program and how you intend to support them professionally. You have to give them a good idea of where are they going to be are they going to be a classroom aide for forever? Right? What is the pathway out of that? You have to talk to them about what their future possibilities are, even potentially beyond your program, right? Maybe they do want to just stay within your program and become an assistant director and eventually a director, all of that, right? Maybe that's their dream. But some people want to look at the possibility of coaching or doing all of these other things. So how are you going to support those interests that they have within your program so they can learn those skills and apply those skills, you can benefit from that skill development, right? Aren't you guys happier if someone has you doing the thing you love rather than having you do the thing you hate? Why would you have a staff member do the thing that they hate when the person in the next room is doing that thing? Right? So you need to know your staff. You need to have a really good sense of who they are and what really fulfills them and makes them feel valued. And if you will tap into those things, you're going to have people stay around a lot longer. So for those of you that were not here at the very beginning, I said that on ECEA's website, there is a marketing video that we just did a webinar this last week on Monday about marketing to get great staff. Go there, pull that video. She had some really creative ideas, and I'm not giving them all away to you right now. You just so watch it on your time and see. But what we're going to do now is we're going to give you a chance to go spend some time in your groups and have some conversations with one another about what's working, what's not working. We had in the chat, let's see here. Jonathan's shared like never, ever, ever do the back of the grocery store receipts, right? Like don't spend the money on it, right? So have those conversations, support one another's learning curve, and really talk about is marketing for families, great. If that's really where you're struggling right now, do that. If it's marketing for staff, have those conversations too. But go be a support to one another. Really, the reason why I wanted to pull you back and have a conversation real quick is I want to talk about the elephant in the room, because right now Build Back Better, BBB, is a pretty big elephant in the room, right? And I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of great things in that. There are a lot of really scary things in that too. And so we're having conversations with state legislators. We're having conversations with senators from the East Coast that are calling and asking about things, because we have to make sure your business is sustained. And if you don't, some of you are owners of your business, right? Some of you own your business. Profit is kind of a dirty word these days, right? But you guys are working in your business all the time. Even if you have a director, like you're still always there doing all kinds of things, right? Filling in the gaps and strategizing and just working super, super hard. And what Build Back Better does is it says like, okay, families only have to pay 7% of their income towards childcare. That sounds amazing. But then you stop to think that means that 93%, see, I can do math, 93% of your revenue is going to come where? From the feds through the state to you. And that's all going to be built off of a cost study, a cost model that they've established, right? To determine how much every employee should be paid based off of ratings and all of that. And we're working pretty hard to advocate with Bell Policy as they're developing this tool to ensure that there's some profit in that for you, right? Because if you can't pay yourself for what you're doing in your business, are you going to keep your business? No. And a lot of people are pretty nervous and pretty scared right now. And so I just want to name it, right? And I want to encourage you to hang in there. Don't get frustrated. Don't go with the political waves back and forth because they're pretty brutal, right? Just give it time and let things happen. I will tell you that the Republican senators that we're talking to are pretty convinced that this is going to pass. And if it does, it changes the landscape of childcare forever. Obamacare changed medicine. this would change childcare. And so that's going to impact a lot of the things that we're talking about, right? But none of us are giving up on any of this, right? Our children and our families deserve mixed delivery systems, and we want that system to exist not just in name. So in order for you guys to remain in the industry and to be strong, it has to be something that really rewards your business for doing an amazing job. And so that's what we're working towards. Okay. So I just don't get frustrated. Don't let all the political talks at Thanksgiving wipe you out, right? With family. Just really watch and see what's going to happen. They have time. Like, honestly, if this really does happen, if Build Back Better passes, it's going to wipe out everything that the state was trying to establish with UPK here, but it'll take the infrastructure that they were building and it'll just be a lot more, right? So we're going to work with you guys to make sure that you're prepared to handle whatever comes. And just remember, in all of it, you're not alone. Okay. Okay. Questions about that?
I got a few about that because so with the build back better, I'm a little bit more nervous on it because I don't want, as bad as it sounds, I don't want the government all up in my business. I really don't.
Right.
I don't want to have to rely on them, and I don't like that model. And I've been trying to rack my brain on figuring out how to go about that to see, okay, well, let's do a charter school where they can or can't. I don't know.
Okay, but Chris, let's talk about that, right? Because when the nation nationalized education and created our educational system, how many families, what percent of families stayed outside of that to do private care? 1%.
I'll
That's
follow the
it.
dollar. Is that what you're saying?
So your chance of succeeding, Krista, you're muted. Your chances of succeeding without engaging in that model are really, really slim. Krista?
Well, I was just saying that's because of the cost issue. It's like we have chosen to keep our granddaughter that we are raising in a church school. And of course, we're having to pay for that.
Right. Yeah.
Which is part of the reason that I'm doing the childcare. But yeah, it's not that's what people really want. It's not that that's their choice, but some of them are left with no choice.
Right. Well, and I'm talking to Montessori schools in the same way, right? Because they're very focused on like, I don't like the rating system and I'm not going to engage in that. And I'm like, how many of your families, when they have the choice to pay 7% of their income to the place down the street, how many of them are going to stay with you and pay your rates because you're Montessori? And they're like, not enough for sure. Right. And so what we have to do is make sure that this system that we're creating, that's being created around us in all of this, that we make it work for you guys, right? We have to be very involved in the building of the rocket as it's speeding through space, right? So that it can meet your needs and your expectations too.
Okay.
It's intense. It's a lot. I'm gonna have a talk on, because ECA does a feedback Friday, usually the last Friday of every month. Well, in November we do it before Thanksgiving, and in December we don't have it. But if you go to our website, there's a Feedback Friday tomorrow at 1. If you want to talk about Build Back Better, I can guarantee you it's going to come up, right? I have a lot of Montessori people that are like, hey, can we talk to you about this then? So they're going to come and have that conversation. I'm happy to engage with you guys in that conversation there in more detail, because it is 8:30 and I want to honor your time. If you want to talk about your business model and what that means in this system that's coming, schedule a consult and we'll have a conversation one-on-one that way too, okay? You guys have an amazing Thanksgiving. Hannah has a wrap up for you and then you'll be free to go. And then we'll see you in 2 weeks. No
Thank you.
wrap up?
I don't have anything. Just check, look for that email tomorrow with any details from tonight. And yeah, we hope you have a great Thanksgiving next week.